Hi, Bobcats. Before we jump into studying chemistry, I'd like to take a couple minutes to talk to you about some suggestions for how to study chemistry. Every student brings a unique blend of background courses and background knowledge to this course. Some students have had all sorts of great science classes, and others maybe have come from schools where science wasn't emphasized as heavily. So everybody comes in with kind of a unique balance. So some of the things that I'm going to try to talk to you about in this brief presentation may apply to you, some might not. You need to figure out what's going to work for you. But one thing that I think is true, no matter what your background or what your learning styles are, um, early and often. Um, if you wait until the night before a test to start studying for this class, chances are you've kind of dug yourself a deep hole. So please, please, please work on this class often and preferably in short bursts, short periods of time. And I think you're going to find your best success that way. One of the reasons that I picked Chemistry for Changing Times for our textbook is the structure of the book itself. All of these things that are listed in the bullet list are consistent across the chapters. So for instance, let's say you're a big picture person. You really need to know kind of what the lay of the land is before you get started on things. Well, if that describes you, I'd skip to the very end, because at the end of the chapter, there is a summary. So you can go in and just take a look at that summary, and in a half of a page, 3/4 of a page, get that big picture view. If you find that you keep confusing two similar sounding terms, well, one of the really nice things is special vocabulary words are highlighted with bold. So when you see those bold words, you know, hey, this is a special chemistry term with a unique definition. Um, and when it comes to things like the working problems, the odds from the end of the chapter exercises are answered at the back of the book. And also, one last thing I'd like to point out that's really, really important, the book lists the objectives for each chapter at both the beginning of the chapter and the end. So that's yet another way for you to see what the author of the textbook thought was important for that chapter. One of the things that can be confusing for students who are studying chemistry is that words that seem to be normal words actually have special meaning when it comes to chemistry. So one example is the word organic. If you go to a grocery store, you'll see organic all over the place. And in that context, organic means food that has been grown following certain procedures, and the processing follows all of those procedures as well. But in chemistry, organic means something very different. Organic chemistry is the study of the element carbon and the compounds that are formed by carbon. And so the one example of pure carbon would be diamond, which is shown over here on the right. And every atom that's inside of that diamond is a carbon atom. When those carbon atoms react and form various other compounds, those compounds are considered to be organic. So you're used to seeing the word organic at the grocery store, but when you see it in a chemistry textbook, it means something quite different. And there are lots of words that you'll find that's true for. Dr. Luxford, a professor of chemical education in my department, does surveys of students, and some of my previous students have given this advice for this course: work problems. When it comes to the test, by and large, you're going to be tested over working problems, so you need to get practice on doing that long before the test. Don't fall behind was another phrase that popped up quite a bit. Um, This class is really easy if you take it in small steps and you keep up with the class, but falling behind can make it really hard to catch up. And then the last piece of advice from students was to go to office hours for help with small problems. Don't think, oh, I'll figure this out, and then dig yourself this really deep hole that's hard to dig out of. Instead, when the problems are small, stop by my office hours and let me help you figure those out. And then you never find yourself in one of those really deep holes. About a month ago, I was participating in a focus group for a publisher, which had chemistry faculty from all across the United States. And another faculty member from a completely different university said that her students who do the work are very successful in her class. But the students that wait until the last minute to even log into the course site and get started on anything, and then email her in a big panic right before an assignment is due, um, when students do that, honestly, there is just nothing left that the professor can do to help those students. At that point, it is just plain too late. So please, please, please work on this class early and often, and you should find yourself doing quite well.